Saludos y bienvenidos a todos to the PGP podcast. Hey, welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. Josh Tobat, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll with another fabulous show as we're crawling to a 100 consecutive live shows. 100 consecutive live shows. It's awesome to have everybody here. So thank you very much. One thing in life that's not guaranteed is time, and you're giving it to us. So we want to thank you for being here. Don't forget, like and share the show right now. Go down there. Go, click it. Like and share the show. Very important to spread out this beautiful algorithm of all of these awesome guests we've had for 97 shows. Remember that we are part of the Fantastic Four family. Fantastic Four family that starts every Saturday with Coach Sean Hurd. If you need somebody right now, I know you're planning your budget. I know right now you're doing your budget. Make sure you call Sean Hurd if you need some help with data. Some data, he'll break it down anywhere in the 50 states. That's the cat for you. At 10:30 on Facebook Live, you got Shika and Tammy, the doctors. Culture, it's all about raising the culture. 3-letter grades in 1 year. Hey, they got the receipts, baby. You got to call him. And we close off on Super Saturday with El Jefe, Principal Baruti Cafele. He closes it, and us. We're the closing lineups every Sunday, Mari and myself. So if you want to be part of this show, remember, it's very important that you reach out to us. We will reach out to you because you, Iowa, we need you. You, Nebraska, we need you. You, Maine, we need you because it doesn't matter, Maine or Florida, Alaska or Hawaii or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you because we're all going through the same stuff. It doesn't matter what. We're going through the same obstacles in life with our assessments coming up, with budgets coming up, with teachers being riffed because of budget crisis. All that is happening right now. You're not alone. You choose to be alone. You're not alone. So reach out to us. You can be part of this dialogue, part of the show, if not part of the podcast in the near future. Moreno, where are you at? What is that funky chair?
Hey, Josh. You know what? I wanted to spice things up a little bit because you know me. I am actually in the RGV, Rio Grande Valley, south of San Antonio, near the border of Mexico. For all you people wondering where in the world is RGV, it's in South Texas. And I am here at my friend's house, Dr. E.T. Everybody knows Dr. E.T. She's like all over social media, all over TikTok, and she has a wonderful glasses. And anyways, so I asked her, I was in the valley doing some work down here, and E.T. said, hey, girl, why don't you stop by my house and do the podcast there? So I said, you know what? What a fabulous treat for all the viewers to kind of see, where does Dr. E.T. live? The beautiful chair. I feel like a princess. Look at this. This thing is huge.
You're going to fall in there, Moreno. You're going to fall in there. Hey, watch out, Moreno. Just real quick. Let's get started real quick. A quick thought, which is our Chinchilagua moment. Chinchilagua, Kim is like, where do you eat that? What Mexican restaurant do you eat that? No, Kim, Chinchilagua is not a food. Allison is like, Chinchilagua, where is that by Tijuana? No, it's not there. Todd might know. Todd is a Texan. Chinchilagua is a Mexican game that we play in our big fiestas, whatever, big get-togethers. And what you do is you line up your whole family, or your primos, your tias, your abuelitas, and you yell, Chinchilagua y arriba, boy, and you run up, boom, you jump on top of your grandma. Then the next guy, Chinchilagua y arriba, boom, you jump on top of your little cousin. And it becomes a human pyramid. And it's all fun and games until it all comes crashing down and your little cousin gets his head cut. Your mom comes out with a bell, starts whipping everybody. Well, okay, that's the Chinchilagua. So this is the sign. First, it was Hiroshima. That happens around November, December, where all the problems in education, and we're about to get started with Nagasaki, the second nuclear bomb in education. And this goes out to all our colleagues that have a leadership role, whether you're a department head, whether you're a team lead, whether you're an assistant principal. This is a time for you to truly have an open door policy. What does that mean? If you just got to sit there and let people vent, do it, bro. You got to sit there and you cannot be saying in August, reach out to me. I'm a servant leader. Oh, you could always contact me. I'm a servant leader. I'm here for you. And then you don't answer back. Tis. Or you have that great secretary that tackles everybody when they get 3 feet from your office door. That's not servant leadership. You know what I'm talking about, Moreno. You know, there's
I
a lot
know.
of principals that have that great principal, that secretary. You cannot talk to him. He has the plague. Stay with no, 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 no. If we truly are there for our team members, if we're really there for our scholars, open door policy really means open door policy, because that's how you establish the whole culture and climate of your campus to ensure that the main chair spreads out the positivity and is there to listen to you. And if you don't do that, then you know what? Everything will always be filled, all the blanks will be filled in with negativity. And in the end, who's going to have to clean it up? The chair or that department head. So it's very important that during this time, you do those quick temperature checks. Go in there, go check. How's everything? ¿Todo bien? ¿Estamos bien? ¿Tienes problemas o no tienes problemas? Do you have problems or you don't have problems? You got to ask those stuff. If not, hey, come on, come here. Let's nip it in the bud. As I tell everybody, it's much better to turn off a match than a forest fire. So if there is an issue, make sure you go look for those matches to avoid any kind of forest fire, because 'tis the season of chaos right now. What do you think, Moreno?
Josh, I think it's important for you to bring those topics up right now, because this is the time. You're absolutely right. It's March, April, May, and it's downhill from here and testing. So you're absolutely right. And I can't believe that we still have people that are not approachable for the chair. The chair is the one that kind of handles all of the situation that happens. And you know what? There's a lot of people that want the chair. They just don't want the responsibility that goes with the chair. So that needs to also, we have to kind of like Principal Cofelli say, look at the mirror, right? You have to kind of be able to step yourself into that role, because I know principals out there that say, you know what, that's not my problem. And, they just got to do whatever it's like, it is your problem, dude, because at the end of the day, it's going to mess up your climate and your culture in your classrooms and in your school. So you got to address those, even though it's none of your business. It's your business when they're working inside of your building.
So true, so true. So make sure, if you're singing servant leadership in July, in Texas, that's when we start, all right? Wisconsin or California or New York, we start in July. Or in August, make sure you keep on singing that chorus all the way through May. And make sure that people are able to go see, and you don't make it a point to where they feel awkward. Hey, the door's open. Come in, talk to me. What do you need? I'd rather deal with it at that moment than in the future. Mm-hmm. And part of the show's theme is the Happy Show. The Happy Show, we've had 4 other shows, episode 32, 43, 56, 77, hut. And now we got episode 97 with 3 awesome educators that you could see them at your local national conference, at your local regional area, at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon. They're all over the place because they have the spirit. It's been my honor to see them at a Region 19, at Texas ASCD, at NASSP, and their rooms are packed, baby. They're packed because they're bringing that fire. So, panel, thank you very much for being here tonight to the PGP podcast. Moreno, stick.
I'm so excited. Today is the Happy Show. I can't believe we're actually needing a show about this time. So I'm super excited that you guys are available to talk to all the wonderful people out in the virtual world that can hear all the positive things that you guys are going to share with us today. Because we know we need a lot of positivity in this environment right now. Because, man, it is a tough world right now. It is March, and we need you right now. So, guys, I'm excited to have you guys. I'm going to start off with Kim. So it's the opening question. So this is for everybody, but I'm going to start off with Kim. Kim, everyone in education has a journey, and many of us didn't start where we ended up. So, and along that way, we've had different kinds of hats. So my question to you is, tell our audience about your current role, the different positions you've held throughout your career in education, and which role ended up being your favorite. And why?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I started out, well, to be honest with you, when I first went to college, I was majoring in business, but then I had severe panic disorder and quit college after a year and moved home and worked as a secretary for about the next 4 years of my life. And then I finally got the courage to go back to college. And I'll just be honest with you, like I've always loved kids and been very nurturing to them. But it was my friend on a walk who said, you know, if you go be a teacher, you're going to get the summers off and you're going to be home every day by 3:30. And I was like, I think that sounds really great. Of course, back then it was a little bit more like that. And so I was working full time, and then I was going to school full time. So I would come into the office at 4:30 every morning, and I had a boss that would let me leave 3 days a week at 12:30, and I would drive 90 minutes to the University of Southern Indiana, and I would stay there till midnight. And I did that for 3 years because I had to have an income. So I worked full time, and then I went to school full time. And then when I graduated, there were no teaching jobs, which is just crazy. And so I took a teacher's assistant position. I worked for $8 an hour. I was a single mom, and I rode the special needs bus in the morning for an hour and in the afternoon for an hour, because that generated an extra $16 a day. And back in the year 2000, $16 a day is what it cost to put my kid in daycare. So that was a little extra to just help me, make ends meet. But then eventually I became a teacher. I spent most of my time in 4th grade, which I absolutely love that grade. And then I became a literacy coordinator for grades K through 12. And then from there, I became a curriculum director. And that was a great opportunity to really look and see what instruction looks like in teaching at all the grade levels. And then in 2016, I started Strobel Education. And at that time, I was just a one-woman team going out into the field, doing professional development on maybe 12 different topics. And then in 2018, I slapped motivational speaker on my website, never having been on a stage ever, but just knowing that I had studied personal development because of the own struggles I had in my life. And so now you fast forward to 2026, and I have a team of 3 gals that go out into the field and do a lot of the day-long trainings. And then I run the back end of the business and do keynote speaking. And so my absolute favorite thing that I get to do now is step on a stage and just connect heart to heart with educators. I always tell my husband I want more stages because it's my favorite thing in my whole business that I get to do. And I think it's like my zone of excellence, or actually genius. I think my zone of excellence was teaching. I felt good teaching, but sometimes we can get ourselves to a little bit of a higher level. And that's what Gay Hendricks calls our zone of genius. And that's the thing that just lights you on fire. And so I think that every day I'm just so appreciative of the journey that I've been on. And I never, ever take it for granted because of the hardships that I have had in my life. I think, unfortunately, sometimes that's the beauty of hardships, is that you see the world through a different lens. So
awesome. I'm so excited to have met you, and you can just hear from your voice. You're passionate about the work that you do, and that's what we need. We need that energy today. So thank you so much for joining us today. How about you, Allison? Again, your journey, your different roles, and which one's your favorite?
Well, thank you for having me on. It's funny because, Kim, I started studying business in college also, because I left K-12. Like, I graduated from high school thinking, I don't know what I want to be, but I do not want to be a teacher because I never want to step foot in a K-12 building again. And it's not because I had horrible teachers. It's just because I didn't feel seen, and it didn't feel like a valuable experience to me. I wasn't like the somebody who was the teacher's pet, or who was like favored by teachers. I just kind of felt invisible. But I had a class in college was canceled, and I had to pick up another class, and the only class that would fit that class at the time and for that requirement, that credit, was educational psychology. And I was the only person in that class who did not want to be a teacher, but I had to do the volunteer work anyway. So I went into my aunt's 1st grade classroom, and I remember I remember those faces. I remember looking at them and thinking, oh, you poor souls, you have 12 years of torture ahead of you. And then I didn't know that at the time, but my core values are integrity and making a difference. And so I am compelled, when I see a difference that needs to be made, to try to be that difference. So I became a teacher. I decided I was going to become a teacher, and at least those students that were in my classroom would have 1 year where I could help them, every single one of them, feel like the teacher's pet and help them feel seen and valued and love learning and education. And then just like all along, like I got tapped on the shoulder for different opportunities. I ended up teaching grades 3 through 8. And then I was an assistant principal and a secondary assistant principal. Ended up being spending 19 years of my career as a principal. And all of that was because I saw an opportunity to make a difference. And my favorite role was being a principal by far. And it's because, you don't go, and I love like your opening kind of dialogue that you had. I think it speaks to this, but you don't go into education thinking, I'm really good at leading adults. Like you go into education because you're like, I love kids and I want to make a difference and I want to work with kids. And then you're good at what you do. If you're good at what you do, or sometimes maybe you're the loudest voice or whatever the case is, you're tapped on the shoulder or you seek out that position to then begin leading adults. And, we do go to college to get like our master's degree or whatever, our doctorates in leading adults, but that's not the real life learning that we need. True. So we assume because people are good teachers that they're going to be good leaders. Of adults, principals. Mm-hmm. And I haven't met, like in all the travels I do, I have not met anybody that went into education to screw people up, like either kids or adults. Like everybody wants to do a really great job. The problem is sometimes we just don't know how, or we don't know how to prioritize our time in the most efficient and effective ways. Like when we talk about servant leadership, sometimes people think that's wiping down the cafeteria tables, which is a fine thing to do once in a while, but that's not servant leadership. Servant leadership is serving the people in your school or in your organization. And how can we prioritize that, but not go crazy ourselves? So I love it when I get to step on a stage and speak to a group of teachers or principals and just say, I am you. Like I have been there. I do the work that you do. And I'm just here to support you and make a difference the best I can. I am now the Director of Client Relations for Creative Leadership Solutions. I've written 8 books. That all started because I started a blog in 2015. And I get to travel and I do like keynote speaking and I love that. But one of the things I'm working at many different schools and many different districts, and I've built relationships and I'm back there like every month and year after year. There's some schools that I'll be entering or districts, the 5th year of working with them next year. And those relationships. And again, like feeling like I am making a difference is so important to me. So
awesome.
That's a little summary of my life.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. And we're going to definitely talk a little bit more about your impact and what you've done across the country. So stay tuned. Hold on. We'll get to that portion in a minute. I want to know a little bit more about Todd. Todd, tell me, where are you at? What's your journey? What's your favorite?
Well, I'm at home with some Texans here, so that's always a special place to be. Sweating it out here in Texas, and we'll be freezing tomorrow. But that's how the whole country seems to be right now. But hello, my name is Todd Neslony. So I so connected with different things that Allison and Kim said, because what I found is that many people in this business, we all have similar stories and different pieces that's why the importance of sharing these is so valuable, because we can see that, oh my gosh, I'm not the only crazy person feeling this way or thinking about this or experiencing this part of life. But for me, I thought I just wanted to work with kids. I thought it was going to be social work. And I loved the idea of that until I started researching what that actually entails and realized I will never be able to separate myself emotionally from that kind of work. And I'd never be able to last. And so I said, what else can I do to impact kids? And I had several educator family members. And so I thought, you know what? Education. And then I became an educator for the same reason Allison did, is that I felt invisible in school. I was an AB student. My mom would have dealt with me at home if I was bad at school. So I knew not to be bad at school. And so I often fell between the cracks because I behaved and I had decent grades. And I can look back on my educational career. And when people say, like, who was your favorite teacher? My answer is always, I don't remember any teachers or experiences. And I didn't want any other kids to ever have that experience. It wasn't a bad experience. I didn't have a bad educational experience, but I wanted to be the kind of person that goes on and has these conversations of, oh my God, my third grade teacher changed my life and things like that. And I wanted to be that for someone else. So I became a teacher, never wanted to be a leader. I was like, teaching is my max. Like, that's my favorite. It's my jam. I love it. I feel like I'm good at it. And then my district signed a deal with the university to, if we wanted to get masters, we could do it at this really reduced price. And I was like, well, if I don't go back now, I ain't never going back to school. So I said, I'll get my master's just so I can be the first person in my family with a master's. Like, I just wanted to be the first. I didn't care about anything else. I wasn't planning on using it. Had my master's, had it for years, and then was teaching in the classroom, loving what I was doing, and got a Twitter, yes, it was Twitter then, a Twitter direct message from an assistant superintendent who said, we love what you're doing. We've seen all your work online. We'd love for you to come lead a school here in our district. And I said, no, not interested. I love teaching. Like, thanks for reaching out. That's really random, but nope. Few weeks later, they reached out again, said, we have you been thinking about it? Would you still consider it? I said, I'm really not interested. I really am happy with where I am now. And they reached out one final time and said, but did we forget to tell you, you could like hire your own staff and like start from scratch? And I was like, oh, wait, like build your own school? Ooh, that sounds interesting.
That sounds
So I
fun.
went and had a few conversations, did a couple interview rounds, got hired. And it is crazy. I describe it like a rose. It was beautiful. It was so much fun, but there were so many thorns along the way because I jumped straight from classroom teacher to school administrator, to principal. So there was a lot of learning that I had to do, but I spent the next 5 years there and had a blast. And then an opportunity came up for me to join my principal association that I was a member at, the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association, also known as TEPSA, the premier pre-K through 8th grade organization in Texas. And I love it here. And what's so funny to me is I look at my career and now I get to travel the world now, just like these other two amazing, beautiful women. They're so, what I love most, I just got to say this, I know this is a tangent, but welcome to ADHD. So Allison and Kim, what I love about them, and I'm so excited to be sharing this stage with them today, is that who they portray on stage is a direct reflection of who they are in real life. And for those of you that are watching this today, that is not the norm. I will say many people who spend time on a stage impacting others. And I've really worked hard to surround myself with those people who match who they portray to be, because I feel like that's so important in this work that we do. And so bravo to them. But I never, ever, ever thought I would be doing this. Like if you had asked me 10 years ago, oh, you're going to be working with adults. I said, no, I hate adults. Like I love kids. Like I don't want anything to do with the adults. I can barely handle these kids' parents. Like I do not want to lead adults. And now it is my most favorite thing I've done. And one thing I will be clear about is that doesn't mean I don't love the other things I did. One thing I talk with adults all the time about is it is so important to remember your passions can change. And that doesn't mean you don't love what you used to love. I could go back today and be a teacher and love it. I could go back today and be a principal and love it. But I really love what I'm doing right now. So I'm chasing and pursuing that because I love it so much. And I think my biggest thing about me and who I am right now is I have this ultimate goal in my life that I just want to help people see what they don't see in themselves. Like that's my ultimate goal, is to help others recognize just those gifts they bring. I loved the wording Kim used with the genius and just that embracing that side of yourself, because I feel too often we let the ignorant voices control who we choose to be. And my passion right now is helping adults and kids, but really adults, because I feel like they're the ones who've lost more of the spark than some of our kids have. Just re-identifying that they have so much value and how to exemplify that and use that to impact others as well.
Awesome, Todd. Thank you so much. And you said so much in that dialogue of yours, but I want to make sure I want to highlight one piece because you kind of brushed over it. And I want people out there in the audience to hear this. You said, I never wanted to be a principal, right? Never wanted to do that. You were wonderful in your teaching.
Yep.
And you were being watched by what was going on in your social media, that you were actually being interviewed by the world and they sought you out just what you were doing. So
Mhm.
it's important for us to highlight that, don't you think, Josh? I mean, this is what you do on social media is your platform and your way to showcase what you do. So people out there, beware of what you put on social media, because guess what? People are watching. People are watching for the good or for the bad. So you
Yep.
can't say I love children and then go in there and then bash children on your social media. Right? So I mean, because that's what happens nowadays, right, Josh? We talk about that all the
Oh,
time.
so true. And I love a teacher in your car at 5 p.m. I love you, and I know you're sad and you're crying about how much you hate education, but no, I love education. Don't chop block me. We're working very hard out there. The panel's working very hard out there to make sure that our kids feel that passion, educators feel
Mhm.
that passion. So if you want to vent against what your bread and butter is, then tell your grandma. Don't tell it out in the sphere. It's very
Correct.
important that we do that, and it's so true because you know what? I'll be damned if anyone changes the narrative of where I work. I set that tone. I set the tone, and I write the chapter every day on how our Jaguars will be seen. Not
Mhm.
anybody else. Not some Facebook page by parents. I will determine the tone and the vision of that campus. So that Todd, great story right there. Now, panel, I love all of you. I've admired all of you. I've seen you live, but we got to keep these stories a little bit shorter. I only got to put a little bit of time with you. All right. I got 6 more questions. And everybody out there watching this, these are inspirational stories and questions that I'm asking them. So, and a lot of times presenters don't like to say a lot about themselves. I'm asking Josh, ask them to come and bring the love to you all because right now it's very foggy. When we're doing
Mhm.
all those EOCs and STAR and all those retests and reviews, our state tests, we get fogged up with the nonsense. But we have these stories right now. But before I get started, shout out to Shika Houston, my sister. I'll see you in North Carolina in a couple of days. Dot McKeever Jeter, our cheerleader, our coach from Illinois. Rella Hicks, thank you for being here. Constance Sherrar from Mississippi. Ray Heward, past member of the Happy Show. Dr. Patrick Ray and El Jefe Todd. Jefe says he wants you on the show. Reach out to Jefe. I'll make sure I connect you with Principal Cafele right there. And he's going to go watch his Knicks. Hopefully they win because then he's all grumpy. So, question, Todd, real quick, all right? It's a 2-part question for you, Todd, and then it'll go to the rest of the panel. How was your first year? Don't fake the funk, Todd. Don't fake the funk, as Principal Cafele says. How was your first year in the classroom? And what crucial role did your parents play to promote you, support you, love you to reach this stage of your life?
So my first year in my classroom was twofold. One, I was so excited to be a teacher. Like after finally having my own room, like I was so excited just to like set it up. Like that was my favorite part of setting it up. And I'm a theme guy. So like I got to theme it out every year and like go hardcore. So I love that part. But I will say, I feel like for me, I was only successful my first year teaching because I had the world's best team. Like I still look back on it today and I feel that a team of teachers that you surround yourself with can make you or break you. Because when I started to doubt, when I felt like it was too overwhelming, when I had no idea what to do, those were the ladies that I went to and owned it and said, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is so much. And they would say, shake out of it. Or, yep, you're lost like the rest of us. We'll figure it out together. Like, whatever it was. So they were so supportive. As far as my parents, I will give a big shout out to my mom, who was an educator for 13 years and really taught me so much about how to be. She graduated from college 1 year before I did. So we actually had very similar paths to that. But she had a year up on me, but I got to watch her and learn from her every single day. And her encouragement for me kept me going. But my mom is also a blunt kind of person. So that bluntness is something I need and I strive for, and the kind of people I surround myself. I love having people who will encourage me in my life, but I need those people who say, you're acting like an idiot, you need to apologize, like those kind of people, because that's the honesty that I feel like makes me better. Was that good? Was that short enough? I tried really hard.
Qué bonito, amigo. Qué bonito. How beautiful. I loved it.
Gracias.
Allison, talk to us.
Oh my goodness, I just made so many connections to what Todd just shared. And I just have to throw that compliment back to him because like that genuineness just, as you can tell, like Todd exudes it. And so it is like my honor to be friends in real life too and get to connect with him via social media like this. So My first year of teaching, I almost got fired. And I didn't really realize that I was that bad until like a year later, when my principal at the time, I had significantly improved, and my colleagues were like, "Oh, Allison is just awesome at what she does," like giving me kudos and compliments, and like thinking like they could never do what I do. And my principal was trying to help them feel better and make it accessible to be like Allison, I guess. And she said, Allison almost got fired her first year of teaching. Like she was that bad. And it's interesting. Like I look back at it now and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And really the issue for me was like not leaning into myself, not trusting myself, it was my presence. It was like getting in my head and all of that self-doubt. Like, I didn't know everything. None of us know everything. Like we think, oh, we graduated, we did our student teaching. Like, I'm pretty good at what I do. And we go into our first teaching job thinking like I should be good at what I do. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, what have you gotten yourself into, girl? Like I don't know if this is for you. But after I concluded that first year of teaching and did a lot of reflection, I did like some reorganization of my classroom, like setting it up to function for us, setting up systems. And I have to give myself a little bit of credit. In that first year of teaching, I started midway through the year. So I just like inherited the classroom and inherited all of the stuff. So I made it my own, and I figured out like who I was right now as a teacher. How can I lean into my strengths, grow in the areas where I need to grow in, and just, kind of partner alongside my students rather than like kind of fighting against them, like creating an environment where they can meet their needs within the functions of what we're asking them to do, rather than working against what I'm asking them to do in order to get their needs met. Because we're all just all day long, just trying to meet our own needs, right? So if we create classrooms where that's easy to do within what I'm asking you to do, within the learning, then it's going to go a lot better.
Your parents?
And then my parents, yes. Like my heart goes out to Todd because I know like he just like the anniversary of his mom's passing just happened, and the anniversary of her passing is on St. Patrick's Day, so that's coming up. And my parents were not educators, but just supportive of me and the person I was, and gave me that real feedback that I needed to hear. I remember after I became a principal, I was camping with my parents, and my mom is like, do not act like a principal to me. You are acting like a principal to everybody. Like, okay, Mom. Feedback taken. I appreciate that. But one thing that, my dad just taught me that I can do anything. And like, yes, you are going to go through bouts of self-doubt. You are going to need to get feedback and learn and grow and reflect, but you actually can do anything, Allison. And that was a huge gift.
Thank you for sharing. That's very beautiful. And like you, I took over a week before Thanksgiving, and the kids had kicked out like four substitutes before I got there. That was fun, baby, in middle school. That was fun.
Oh my goodness.
Talk to us, Kim.
Oh my goodness. So when I got my first fourth grade classroom, well, first I said, like, put me next to the very best teacher there is in the school, because I knew that I had so much to learn. And so I happened to know a really great fourth grade teacher, and I just went to her constantly and said, like, I need your help. I don't even know how to really teach reading, and like, what do you use, and what novels do you use, and what questions do you ask? And her name is Dana Summersheim, and she was just so instrumental in helping me. But I also had somebody give me the book by Harry Wong called The First 100 Days of School. And I feel like that helped me so much, because it made me really focus on just relationships for the first 6 weeks, like relationships, routines, procedures. And I think that saved me. At the same time, I always feel so bad for that first year of students that I had, because you're just not great yet. You're maybe not even good yet. And you know that you're not, and you know that you have to go through this learning curve, but I just remember feeling kind of sorry for them, especially as I got into year 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm like, I'm so much better at this now. And so, I think that for me, I am just always been driven towards self-improvement, and I've always wanted to be around people. To this day, I want to be around people who are so much better than me. I mean, what's that? You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. Yes. And so now I'm not going to lie, like sometimes I'm threatened a little bit by some people's success. I really am. Like sometimes it makes me feel less about myself. Like I kid Joe Sanfilippo right now, who's like, well, I've got 100 gigs already on my calendar this year. And I'm like, Joel, you know, I'm not even going to click on your Instagram story. I'm tired of seeing you on a stage. And I tease him that like he gets me all worked up, you know, but then what I go is like, okay, Kim, what do you need to do to like motivate yourself? How can you use that as encouragement? And so I think that is a success principle that I am really good at. But I will say this, and I'm going to piggyback off of Todd too. Todd, I'm with you 100% because being in the speaking field, you do see people who are not the same in real life as they are on the stage. And I always said, if I'm going to have a platform and I'm going to be on a stage, you're going to see the yucky, ugly parts of me too. The struggle parts, the bad parts, the woman who like made bad decisions as a teacher sometimes, you know, because I think that's really important to do when you do have a platform. Like it's really important to try to be as close of a match in real life as you are to the one up there on the stage. And then my parents, so neither one of them had anything beyond a high school, college, or high school degree. And so since I went back to school 3 years later, my brother Brad and I graduated from 2 different colleges on the same day. And so they were so proud that their children got you know, college degrees. And my dad, he was a house painter and he loved it, but he worked so hard his whole life. Like he worked 70 hours a week and he painted in 90-degree weather. And so when I quit college the first time, he didn't understand. We didn't even know I had anxiety attacks. We didn't know what was wrong with me or why I couldn't stay at school or why I was afraid to be by myself. And so he lost his damn mind when I quit college and he made life miserable for my mom and I. And my mom even threatened to leave him. She was like, look, you can't, but he was so distraught because in his head, he knew how hard he had physically worked to earn a decent living. And he wanted the road to be better for his children. And so, you know, he had a lot of pride in that, but he still jokes today, like mom and I still tease him like, look, we were really close to jumping off the edge because you lost your mind when I quit college.
Thank you for sharing that. And hey, I know you're making those budgets right now, guys. Talk about being real right here. Bring these 3 panelists to your school next year. You're doing your budget. And I know you don't spend all your Title I money. I know that. I know that. I know, especially if you're a brand new principal in a high school, I know you're not using all that Title I money. So make sure you call upon them, do all your paperwork, and bring them to your school because they're awesome for your campus culture. Dr. Edwin Garcia, thank you for being here out of New Jersey. And John Hurwitz here from Texas. Thank you. Stick, Moreno.
So guys, this is a fun question. So sometimes the most important work we do in education isn't in a classroom or in a training. It's in those quiet moments when an educator pulls you to the side and they say they can't do this anymore. Like they're giving up, they're tired. So I'm going to start off with Allison. Allison, as you travel the US sharing your message, can you tell us about a time when you connected with an educator who was going through a really difficult time and how you helped them find out their way out of the trenches through your words of encouragement or guidance?
Oh my, I'm like trying to pick which time, right? Because
exactly, just one, because it's short and because, you know, and it's important to kind of share this story because again, this is the happy show. And there's a lot of people that are really kind of feeling, you know, down. So this is your opportunity for all 3 of you to kind of, somebody pulled you to the side and they said, oh my God, I don't know. What did you say to them? Because someone's going to hear your message today and hopefully will also support them as well.
Right. You know, this is supported by research also, but we're highly satisfied at work when we feel like we can use our strengths. And I think a lot, often educators feel like they're asked to do things that they're not good at or aren't aligned with the strengths that they have. So I'm just thinking of a high school teacher in particular who pulled me to the side and said, and she's highly effective. She was a leader, like a department chair in her building and had years and years of experience and said, I don't know if I'm going to make it to retirement. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And so our conversation in that moment, because I saw so many strengths in her, was to help her see those strengths and how was she utilizing them? Or were there some strengths or things that she really loved doing in her job previously, like that she could do in previous years, that she wasn't able to do or to access those strengths? Like what, just really thinking about, often we can think about times when things were better, but then dive deep into that. Like what were the circumstances that were in place that created that setting where you felt whole, seen, and valued at school, where you felt like you could do your best work? And then what are the barriers right now that are getting in the way? What are the challenges? And can you overcome them in your current setting? Which are within your control, which are outside of your control? Are you focusing on things that are within your control? Are you focusing on things that are outside of your control? Just really empowering. And I'll just share this. There's this one strategy that this woman, her name is Dr. Rebecca Skipper, and she's like an educator wellness expert in the state of Michigan and in West Michigan. And she has developed this anxiety protocol, which is, and I'm sure it's similar to other protocols, but basically you just write down everything you're feeling anxious about. And then you go through that list, which can be very long. Like I've asked brand new teachers in February to write down everything they're feeling anxious about. And you go through that list and you only circle things that fit these three categories. One is it's within your control. You can control this or deeply influence this situation. Another one is that it's a real problem based on real data, because we often make up problems in our own head and there's no data that supports that that's a problem. So you only can circle it if it's within your control. It's an actual problem that we can point to some kind of data or evidence that indicates it's a problem. And then the third one is that it's immediate. Like we need to address this immediately. And if you can't circle it, if it doesn't apply to all of those, all three things, then you cannot circle it. So after they have this huge list of things they're feeling anxious about, and we boil it down to the things that fit those three categories, there's maybe one or two things left on the list. And you just like through that process, you just feel immediately like a weight lifted off you, because I did that practice right alongside them. I was going through some really stressful things in my family and in my professional life, and recognizing that many of those things were not within my control. Like I felt that same lift at that same time as I was working with those brand new baby teachers in February, a very stressful time in the school year, as we recognize.
Allison, I love that strategy. And thank you so much for sharing that with everybody, because I think you're absolutely right. There's just so many things, especially in the springtime, where everything is just piled on to teachers, and they're just like they can't breathe. They're like, suffocating. So I love that strategy. And I hope many, many people go back and listen, like and share this, you guys, like and share this because this is a really good strategy. I love that. Todd, I don't know, sir. Can you give me something? Because that was a really good one.
Yeah, I want to take a different perspective here, because there's a lot of people who think things like, I'm not happy where I am and I want to go somewhere else, but I can't leave these kids. Like I feel so connected to this community and these families, and like I know they need a loving adult, and I know I'm not in their life right now, so I feel like I would be abandoning them. I've heard that many times. I felt like that for one of the positions that I moved on for. And one piece of advice I always give is that there are always kids that need adults. And whether it's here or somewhere else, you're needed. And so I don't think that we should allow ourselves to stay in a place that is emotionally damaging to us under the guise that I stay because the kids need me. The kids will always have an adult there somewhere, somehow. But the other kids somewhere else need the version of you that is in a much better place emotionally than where you are now. So don't hold yourself hostage to a situation under the guise that the kids need me, when the reality is all kids need a loving adult, not just the ones that are right in front of you. And so that's one thing that just came to mind immediately, that was a little bit different perspective than Allison's that she shared, because I think people that are hard up and hurting and they're all feeling all different kinds of ways about all different kinds of things. And so that's one that I thought of is just that permission to know that you leaving one space because it's a place for you, and going somewhere better is not you abandoning children. There will be someone else who will replace you, and guess what? They might be better. And that's okay, because you're going to go where you're meant to be, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And I love that. Thank you so much, Todd, for sharing that, because that's another message that we need to hear as well. Right. So thank you so much for sharing from a different perspective. So that's okay. Kim, you're closing it out, ma'am. So you can go either way or go in a different direction.
Well, when you asked that, I immediately thought back to El Paso, Texas. I loved those people. I did 6 keynotes in 3 days for this school district down there. And they were the most loving, kind-hearted, generous people. They took such good care of me. But I giggled because after one of the sessions, this lady was crying and she kind of fell into my arms. And she's like, you just emotionally regulated me and I feel so calm. And I'm like, anybody that knows Kim Strobel, she never emotionally regulates anyone. Like, I run 40 miles a week. I meditate 40 minutes a day. And I do take an anxiety medicine because I'm a little bit unregulated at times, right? And so I was like, first of all, can I record you so that my husband Scott hears that somebody has said this about me? But you know what it came down to? She was just looking through the lens of perfectionism, and she has so focused on everything that she wasn't doing well. And I said to her, my thing that I now live by is that perfectionism is the lowest standard you can hold yourself to. It is the lowest standard you can hold yourself to, because perfectionism is the very thing that prevents you from being able to take the leaps that you need to in your life and to give yourself the credit that you deserve for the things that you are doing well. And so she was striving so hard for perfectionism in the classroom and in ensuring that everything was dotted and crossed and put together. And I said, man, we talked about how is that getting in your way? And she's like, for one thing, I'm not getting home to my own children until 5:30 at night. And then I'm really irritated and I'm ticked off and I have to do dinner and I'm in a terrible mood. And I'm like, so your perfectionism in the classroom is the lowest standard you're holding yourself to, because it's taking away from your ability to enjoy your children at home. And she was like, yes, that's exact. And so it was reverse engineering the whole perfectionism thing, which sometimes I think we kind of think sometimes it's like a positive label, like, oh, she's perfectionistic, like she has to have and sometimes it's negative. But for me in my life, I've had to reverse that. Like, when I'm in my perfectionism, you're not getting the best part of me at all,
That is so awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Like and share it, you guys, because all 3 of you, different perspectives, different way of tackling this issue, but it's a real issue, Josh. It's an issue that many, many educators today are feeling. And I hope they got something, because what you said right there, Kim, was amazing. That itself was also true.
Big shout out to Dr. Joe Griffin, Facebook Live, 3 p.m., part of the Fantastic Four family. Thank you, Joe, for being here. So along the same lines right now, Allison, we know everyone's getting on testing mode. Everybody's getting to graduate these babies their senior year. And this is when senioritis kicks in. That mold that grows and you don't feel it growing, but that it's growing right now. So you have a lot of seniors on the verge of not graduating because they're slacking off. They're not turning in. They thought they already graduated. You know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are out there in the sphere. So right now, give one piece of advice to our colleagues across the world right now that have their nerves a little bit on the edge because of graduation, because of state testing. Give them something on how to cope with this feeling.
So I will give another strategy, and this one is aligned with the science of hope, which I know Kim and Todd are very familiar with. But they're like, hope isn't something like you're born with or you're not born with. And I think another way to think of hope is self-efficacy. Like, hope is not wishing. Hope is believing that we can make a positive impact. Hope is believing things will get better. Self-efficacy is believing we can do things to make things better. So there are 3 ways that we can cultivate hope. And I think educators, students, because we're feeling so overwhelmed, sometimes we can feel hopeless and that we don't have a lot of control. Like, we're just waiting for those test scores that'll come out like in the summer or in the fall to tell us if we're good or we're not good. So 3 ways to cultivate hope. One is gratitude, being thankful. And just like I was an educator wellness coach for a couple years, and it was a great job, but that was life-changing for so many educators I work with, is just to pause at the end of the day and just write down something that you're grateful for. Another way to cultivate hope is acts of kindness. So doing something for someone else. And sometimes that's why like our new teachers feel a little bit hopeless, is because they're taking. They feel like they're taking from everybody. So like if you're a new teacher who's feeling like, I don't even know if I'm doing my job, and you need to build some hope within you, like bake some cookies and give them to your colleagues, like do something like an act of kindness, because that can stir up hope within ourselves. And then the last one is actually accomplishing something. And I think it's Gretchen Rubin who says, like, if you think of something that you need to do that can be accomplished in 60 seconds or less, do it right then. Because that's just, it cultivates hope. It's crossing something off our list without adding something to our list. And it's amazing how many things we can actually get done in 60 seconds or less. So, does anybody like write a to-do list and then you think, oh, I already got this done. So you add something you already finished your to-do list. Yes. That cultivates hope in us. So I think those 3 strategies can be very helpful right now.
I think that's why I do my bed every morning, because I accomplished making my bed. Right?
And I can make mine in 60 seconds because I don't make it very well. So yes.
Me too. Josh?
Whoa, next, Todd. I'm sorry. I was
No, I love what Allison shared. Gratitude is a big part of my life, and I use gratitude not only when I'm not feeling accomplished, but just when I'm not feeling myself. Because I know that research that shows that when you show gratitude, you actually improve your mood more than the person you're showing gratitude to. So like, even if you're doing it selfishly, like not only does it lift somebody else up, but it also brings you in. I think for me, something that I've been doing a lot lately is sometimes I can, and first of all, I want to say, Kim, I love that you share just so blunt and openly about, just having to be on medication at times or things like that. And I spent my career now talking about the power of therapy and medication when you need it and all that, especially being a person of faith and sometimes growing up in these areas tell you you're not allowed to have these things. And so I love that you speak about that, because that's so important to me too. But sometimes I can spiral out of control into creating these false realities in my head and start to feel like nobody's listening, nobody cares, like all these kind of things that aren't based in reality, but are based in my crazy emotions. And so I love sensory grounding. And I know it's probably something y'all heard of before. And if you're a fan of the TV show High Potential, if you're not a fan, what is wrong with you? That show is so freaking good. But in that show, she actually did sensory grounding. First time I've ever seen it done in a TV show. So I love seeing that now too. But sensory grounding is whenever everything feels out of control, you take your 5 senses and you start by saying, what are 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can smell, 2 things I can taste, like all the go through those different senses in my head. This is what's real. This is what's here right now. Let the other stuff go for just a minute and bring her so that you can then attack the world.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Love it. Kim, close us off.
Okay, I'm just going to say that I'm backing up what both of them are saying, because what they're talking about are the happiness habits, random acts of kindness, meditation, grounding ourselves, and the practice of gratitude. And so what all of those things are doing, and this is why this works, is because it's flooding your brain with dopamine. Okay. And dopamine has 2 functions. Dopamine is going to make you happier. It's the happy chemical in your brain. And the second thing that it does is it turns on all the learning centers in your brain. So when we get you happier versus stressed, what happens is you're able to start to see opportunities that were there the whole time, but you didn't know they were there. You become 31% more productive at your job, 10 times more engaged, and 3 times more creative. And so all of this just to say is that this comes back to the wellness piece again, right? And understanding that when you learn to prioritize your own well-being, everyone, including your students, matter. I used to interview students all of the time, and I would say, who's your favorite teacher? But I didn't care too much about that answer. I would always follow up with why. Why is that person your favorite teacher? And the first response, I always got 2 responses, same version of 2 responses every single time. The first one didn't surprise me. My teacher cares about me. I can tell that she loves me. That one didn't shock me. I knew that to be true. I did not expect it to be the second one to be my teacher is happy. What do you mean by that? Well, I can tell that Mr. Lyons, he just really loves what he does. Like he loves teaching, and I can tell he's happy to be there. And so what we know from the research, and Allison and Todd know this as well, but teachers' mindsets profoundly affect student outcomes. So the belief that the teachers have in their students' ability to achieve, that very much shows a direct correlation between the two. And so a lot of the work that we have to do is extract these old belief systems out of our students and download new ones. But it really starts with understanding that we are at the beginning of that equation. And when we don't have ourselves well, then we're not well. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the chat box. Something that's helping me get more regulated is, I don't know if you've heard of bilateral stimulation, EMDR music. Have you heard of it? Okay, have you heard of EMDR, which is a form of therapy where the therapist takes your eyes from left to right, and they've used it to like help people overcome trauma, to change the brain. And so Gabby Bernstein, who's this spiritual teacher, she has this playlist that I've been listening to while I walk, and it's EMDR bilateral stimulation in your brain. So it takes your cortisol levels down and it brings you down to this. So I'm going to post the link because I found it about a month ago from Gabby, and I just pop it in for my 15-minute walk with the dogs, and I just feel my whole system settle. You can do it while you're going to sleep, but that's a great little resource, and I'll pop it over in the chat box for everyone.
Love it.
Awesome. Downloading that as soon as we're done.
And I'm telling you guys, we have over 150 cards I got to mail out to all our students that our faculty and staff wrote every month. And let me tell you, it really helps out. One more question, guys. One more question, then the lightning round. Real quick, fill in the blank. Go Moreno.
It's the fill in the blank question, and I'm gonna have Kim start us off. Okay, so Kim, this is your fill in the blank question. It's super easy. The sentence is, "Hey, educator, as testing season approaches, I want you to blank."
Oh my goodness. I would just say breathe. Just breathe. I mean, just take a breath, and you've done the work, right? You've put the work into the students. And so it's like that Mel Robbins let them theory. Like at this point, we've got to kind of we're doing the action, but at some point you got to let go and say, okay, I am not responsible after a certain point for this, right? Like I've poured into these kids, I've given them the skills. So let me breathe now and know that the rest is up to them.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Todd. Hey, educator,
Go ahead.
As testing season approaches, I want you to
remember that you are more than that score will ever show that you are. You cannot control a child's home life. You cannot control their experiences outside of school, and all of that affects what they show on that test. It is not a sole reflection of you, your worth, or your ability. You are so much more than that. Own who you can be outside of just a score.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So good to share that. And last but not least, Allison. Hey, educator, as testing season approaches, I want you to,
along the same lines as what they both said, remember that you are not responsible for the data. We are responsible for our response to data. We did not create the data. Like third grade teacher, you didn't create the entire trajectory of that child from, being born to being in your classroom. So just along the lines of what Todd has shared, like we sometimes feel like data is like a punch to the gut if it doesn't turn out the way we want. And then that can paralyze us from responding, and we can be filled with self-doubt. So having that lens, Dr. Doug Reeves is the founder of my organization and a colleague and my boss. He always talks about we're not responsible for the data. We're responsible for our response to the data.
To the response. Awesome. Awesome. Josh, thank you so much for having a great panel with us today. And we're ready for the Échale Ganas.
Here we go. And we're going to do a lightning round. And we're going to hit our mark. Our time mark is the most important part. Échale Ganas. It's the PGP podcast. And Ganas is the only word that connects every Hispanic across the world. That's it. We're not a monolith. Our foods are different. Our speeds are different. The way we talk, everything's different. Except for one word. One word connects us all. And that's Ganas. That's where a spiritual word of a grandma yells to her grandchild, "Échale ganas, mija." Or a mom or a dad tells that to his son, "Échale ganas, mijo." And it comes from right here. It's generations, it's eons of people telling it from one generation to another one. So here we go, Allison. Ending off the lightning round. And at the end, if you like to push, you have any books or anything up there, please make sure you have them, Randy. So here we go. Lightning round. Give advice to a new teacher.
Be a great colleague. We need each other.
Read a note, an email, or a text from a parent, a colleague, or student that inspired you with their words.
I just got a note via Facebook Messenger from a former student who said, "Hey, guess what? You left a huge positive impact on my life." And in discovering who that was, it was a student who needed a lot of support in high school as I was her principal. But she went on to say, "The genuine kindness and compassion you shared, showed, and taught was never forgotten."
Eso. Send some flowers to an active colleague who inspires you. What's their name and their title?
Lisa Almeida is the CEO of Creative Leadership Solutions, and she just is an excellent model of working hard, but prioritizing our family and our personal lives, and also just she's incredibly supportive.
Very cool. Name one person the audience should follow on social media. What's their handle?
Dr. Ann McCarty, and she's at McCarty Ann. She is a genius about scheduling. Scheduling in schools. You know Ann, but yeah.
Gotcha. When you were in elementary, what luxury item did you want to purchase?
I was thinking about that, and I'm going to say I did purchase it, or I got it for Christmas. It was a Caboodles, and it was like this traveling like case for makeup and like hairbrushes, and you open it, kind of looked like a tackle box, but with girl colors.
There you go. Okay. What was the first live concert you saw, and why did you see that group or person?
I think it was Janet Jackson, and Boyz II Men opened up for her. And I love R&B, like Motown girl, grew up in Michigan. So it was, fantastic concert.
Which book changed your life? Who's the author?
It was, we already mentioned this, but recently it was The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins and her daughter. I can't remember her name. Yes, so it's a life-changing book.
What's your favorite sci-fi movie or sci-fi show?
Does Star Wars count?
Sure, why not?
I'm not really into sci-fi, but I love Star Wars.
Got it. And how can people get a hold of you? Is there a book right now that you're promoting?
Yes, my most recent book is called Less Talk, More Action, and it's about using action research within our collaborative teams and for improvement in schools. And there's another book that I co-authored, and it's called Fearless Instruction. And it's just about taking the practice, like what research says are effective practices, and its application for them. So those are two fantastic books. And you can reach me at Allison Apsey on all the social medias. And you can email me, AllisonApsey@gmail.com. My website is AllisonApsey.com.
Love it. Just by her name, you'll get a hold of her real quick. Todd Nesloni from Texas. Here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for help. You do not have the answers. You do not need to know the answers. Nobody has all the answers. Get over it and ask for help.
Read a note, an email, a text from a parent, a colleague, or student that inspired you with their words.
I think one is I saw a former parent of one of my students at Chick-fil-A the other day, and he just came by and he just had to tell you, you haven't had my kids in years, but we still talk about you at the dinner table. And that was really powerful for me.
Love it. Send some flowers to an active colleague who inspires you. Name and title.
My co-author of my last book, who is an active principal still in Pennsylvania, Dr. Tyler Cook. He is absolutely brilliant, and I send my flowers to him because he doesn't even realize how good he is, but he blows me away every conversation I have with him.
Love it. Name one person in the audience you follow on social media. What's their handle?
I mean, like, there's like 1,000 people. I would say I know there's this really cool girl that I'd learned from all the time named Allison Apsey, and another one named Kim Strobel. So I'm going to shout them too. Because I don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings that are maybe watching this that are like, why didn't Todd mention me? I say Allison and Kim. Definitely worth following because I already follow both of them and learn from them.
When you were in elementary, what luxury item did you want to purchase?
Oh, Lord. I wanted every single thing at that bookstore for the Scholastic Book Club that was not a book. And my mom always said no to all of it. All I could pick was a book. So that was my luxury item, is I always wanted this stuff at the bookstore, and my mom would never let me have it.
What was the first live concert you saw? Why that group, that person?
Lord, I don't even remember, but I think it was Avalon, which I was a huge fan of them growing up, Christian band, and I remember it was fantastic. I do remember that, but I don't know if that was my first, but I think it was.
Which book changed your life? Who's the author?
There's been so many powerful books, but I think Chip and Dan Heath's The Power of Moments blew my mind when I read that the first time.
What is your favorite sci-fi movie or TV show?
Are you kidding me? I love sci-fi. Like, we could talk about this all day long. When you were talking about this, I was like, I don't know where to go. But two that I'll list that I watched recently that I love Alien Earth. I've never been a huge fan of the Alien series, but I loved the TV show Alien Earth. And then I love the TV show that nobody I know is talking about called From. And I know they don't talk about it because it's an MGM Plus show, which who has MGM Plus? I don't know. I heard about it online and downloaded it just to watch the show. But it is so good, and I have no idea where it's going, and I'm obsessed because the new season comes out soon. So From.
All right. How can the audience get a hold of you? Do you have a current book right now?
I have a bunch of books, so you can just Google my name, Todd Neslony. Even if you spell it wrong, Google will find it. There's not that many Neslonis, so you can do that. I'm toddneslony.com. A lot of my social media is Tech Ninja Todd, but however you want to Google me, you can find all my stuff and resources there.
Appreciate you, Kim. Here we go. Give advice to any teacher.
I would say be willing to learn from others.
Read a note, an email, a text from a parent, a colleague, or student that inspired you with their words.
One of my former fourth grade students, Alton Cummings, sent me a LinkedIn message last week, and he said, I just want you to know that you're still my favorite teacher.
Yes. Send some flowers to an active colleague who inspires you. Name and title.
Matt Miller. I mean, I just think that he's amazing, and he's so good-hearted, and he's like Todd. He's like what Todd said. He's totally who he is on the inside out.
Name one person in the audience you follow on social media. What's their handle?
You know, I'm really enjoying at Rachel Idoko because she's talking a lot about the same things that I'm talking about, and Allison's talking about the joy and the wellness piece, and I am enjoying her.
Love it. When you were in elementary, what luxury item did you want to purchase?
I purchased a yard sale couch for our fourth grade classroom. It was amazing. We had a couch in the classroom.
Why not? There you go. What was the first live concert you saw? Why that group?
Beach Boys.
Which book changed your life? Who's the author?
This is a spiritual one, but it's The Law of Attraction by Jerry and Esther Hicks.
What's your favorite sci-fi movie or TV show?
I love Game of Thrones.
How can the audience get a hold of you? Which book is out there right now for Kim?
Teach Happy. This is the 40% of happiness habits. If you want to increase your happiness levels by 40%, that was my book that took me 10 years to write. So I don't know if I have another one in me or not, but that was a beast and I did it. So super proud of myself. And then you can follow me. My website is strobeleducation.com. And then I'm at Kim Strobel Joy on Instagram.
Thank you, panel, for being here today. Don't hang up at just a couple of minutes right after we hang up. Thank you, everybody, for the Happy Show number 5. Next week, we got the Alumni Show. I invite my former students from years ago to come on and tell me, did I do a good job helping you or not? It's all right. It's going to be live. It'll be there forever. But remember, out there, doesn't matter which educator, whether it be in Ghana that we have people, fans from there, or we have in Wisconsin. We're all in the same struggle, the same battle, but the most importantly, the best job out there, the profession that creates all the other professions, education, and we need each other to hold on tight and make sure we talk to each other, support each other, and give those nuggets of knowledge like you learned today on the Happy Show that you could implement starting tomorrow, if not after spring break, the following day, because you know what? We are awesome people doing the Lord's work, and we got to keep on doing it to improve our beautiful country. Thank you for being here today. Don't forget to like and share. We'll be seeing you next week. Special time, 1 p.m. Central, because I'll be in North Carolina. Special time, 1 p.m. Central, because I'll be presenting in North Carolina with some young lady that I know down there. Thank you, everybody. Say goodbye, panel.